नमस्कार लर्नर्स, NIOS के PM ई विद्या चैनल में आप सभी का स्वागत है। मैं आंचल गोस्वामी, एकेडमिक ऑफिसर, वोकेशनल एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट में कार्यरत हूँ। आज हम वेब डिज़ाइनिंग एंड डेवलपमेंट कोर्स का इंटरनेट एंड सर्विसेज सेकेंड चैप्टर डिस्कस करेंगे। सो द फर्स्ट टॉपिक इज़ व्हाट इज़ इंटरनेट। इंटरनेट क्या होता है? इंटरनेट इज़ वर्ल्ड वाइड नेटवर्क ऑफ कंप्यूटर नेटवर्क्स। जो हमारा फिजिकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, कनेक्शंस हैं, जो हमने लास्ट चैप्टर में भी पढ़ा था कि जितना भी कनेक्शंस, नेटवर्किंग डिवाइसेस, नेटवर्क एंड यूज़र डिवाइसेस जितने भी हमारे डिप्लॉयड हैं, उसको हम बोलते हैं इंटरनेट। A network of networks in which users at any one computer can exchange information with any other computer on another side. So it is exchange of information through a vastly deployed network across the globe. Applications of internet, as we all know how exhaustively we use internet nowadays. So first is we use email. Using electronic mail, we can send messages from one system to another system. That message can contain images, videos, documents, presentations, etc. We can use file transfer protocol to transmit files from one system to another. And we can do internet surfing. In internet surfing, we can browse through information through different sites, through different information related to studies, related to banking, hospitalization, everything. So that is internet surfing. We can also use internet for chatting. Chatting is real-time messaging, real-time communication over internet between two users, between multiple users, and we can do that through Gmail, through Yahoo, through different search engines, different platforms. We can connect to social networking sites. We have different social networking sites available like Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn, different sites for different purposes. Next is we can also use our website. We can host our own website related to our organization, our particular specific activity on internet. We can use internet for news, like we can use different updated news can be available on the internet. Now we will discuss types of internet connection. In previous chapter we discussed what are the different types of internet like LAN, WAN, MAN, and what are the different topologies. We had mesh topology, ring topology, bus topology. Now we will discuss that how the end user is connected to the internet. Between that there are different types of internet connections which are used. So first is dial-up connection. It was traditionally used and it was a very basic type of connection. In this we use telephone to make up the connection between ISP server. ISP is Internet Service Provider. It provides a connection through dial-up which user does at its end, and then it can access internet through ISP server facility. So it transfers data over an analog line. We can also see this in the diagram that we have internet, and we use telephone structure, telephone PSTN, that is public service telephone network, which was already deployed across the globe. We use that for sending information for internet usage. Here we need a modem device which is called modulator and demodulator. The signals which propagates on telephone lines are analog signals, and the signals which are sent and received from the computer system are digital signals. So between that we need an interference system which can convert our digital signals to analog signals and analog to back to digital. So for that purpose we use modem in this system, and modem device creates a speed gap between the communication because it carries out activity of conversion of signals. So before the data is sent, it is to be converted from digital to analog form. It is digital at the computer system and it propagates at telephone lines in analog. When data is received, it has to be converted from analog to digital signal. So this is done by modem. It adds performance overhead which affects the speed of the connection. Talking about advantages, it was easy to set up and use because the telephone line structure was already deployed. It is very economic and it is widely available. Talking about drawbacks, it is little slow because of the conversion activity performed by modem, and once connected, the same telephone line cannot be used for phone calls. When we use this type of connection, we use a telephone line, we dial the number of ISP server. At that time, we cannot use these lines for telephone communication. We will use these for internet purpose only. The next type of connection is ISDN, Internet Integrated Services Digital Network. So it offers connectivity through the use of digital phone lines instead of standard line analog. It allows the user to receive or make calls simultaneously on the same line. The drawback of dial-up connection was taken over by ISDN. It comes through a regular telephone wire from the telephone pole on your street. We can get the connection from the telephone lines to our system. For ISDN working, we do not have to convert the signals from one analog form to digital form. We have ISDN bridge, ISDN network. We use telephone lines for the propagation of digital signals. So benefits of ISDN are single connection can support both voice and data. Simultaneously, we can use that for telephone communication as well as for internet usage. 8 terminals can be connected on a single line. Earlier, we used to have single system over a dialed up connection on telephone line. Now we can use 8 terminals for single line communication. Signal or ISDN line, voice or data is sent in digital mode, so less prone to noise, have very high quality service rather than analog signals. 2 calls including voice, data, image or combination of any 2 can be established simultaneously on a single pair of lines. High speed data transfer from PC to PC. Drawback is a special ISDN line have to be installed at customer's location. Now next was direct internet access. So it is a permanent connection. We don't have to make a connection using a dial-up call. It is a permanent connection between the internet and the LAN on the other side. So it is used by larger institutions, corporate and government agencies. It is available 24 hours a day. We don't have to make a connection beforehand and then use it. It is available always on. So dedicated links are established through service provider who places a computer control router at the site. A router is used to connect local network to the internet and allows all the members of network complete access to internet. Next is broadband connection. In broadband connection, we use DSL internet connection. DSL is also an always on, widely used data connections. Like ISDN, with DSL, user can make and receive telephone calls while connected to the internet. The difference between DSL and dial-up is that a DSL internet connection uses a high-speed dedicated circuit filtering out standard phone calls and internet signals. As we are using telephone lines for internet signals and phone calls, we need a device, we need a filtering device which can filter the packets according that which are phone calls packets, which are internet signals. In broadband connection, we have internet, we have so many devices connected to the internet, and between that we have a router. So connections are always on. Broadband connection is also a type of DSL connection, and access to internet on single line. DSL utilizes the standard copper wiring already installed into businesses and homes, requiring no special line installation on service. So it provides very high speed quality, and its connection can be shared to create own LAN that is more than one PC and can be connected. Drawbacks are hardware costs are high because we have to use DSL modem, we have to use DSL filter, and we also need to have a firewall to protect our PC from many malicious software, malicious packet from the network. In wireless internet connections, instead of cables, we use Wi-Fi technology, where an adapter, we can see in the diagram, with the computer device, an adapter is attached. Using that adapter, any wireless network can be accessed through wireless modem and wireless router. Now we'll talk about how internet works. We have already talked about how packets are transmitted from one system to another system in a previous chapter, that we have different layers at one side and packet travels from topmost layer to last layer and then to the physical channels, and then it goes upward to layered architecture at the other side. So internet working is similar to that only. We have in internet, we have a collection of web pages. Every data which are we transmitting is fabricated through a web page. In starting at application layer, we have web page. That web page is divided into different packets, different fragments, and then it is transported through different layers of OSI reference model, and at each layer a header is attached to each packet that explains that it contains the metadata, that what is the packet destination address, what is its source address, where it has to be sent to, which router, and then which destination, which another gateway, which another network. So it contains that kind of information, and at every layer we have a header attached, and then at destination layer, when packets are received, their headers are removed to get the information back. We can see that we have at the topmost layer we have application layer, then we have TCP IP hardware. At hardware layer we transmit the packets, and reverse happens at the destination layer. So at the destination, the packets are examined. We have flow control mechanism, error control mechanism at destination, that number of packets received are in correct form or not, and the packets are should not have any error. That checking happens at the receiver side. So, and this continues until all the packets have been received at receiver side. The packets are reassembled into their original form. Each computer connected to the internet has software called TCP/IP protocol, which is responsible for receiving, sending, and checking packets. Next, we will move to internet terminologies. When we talk about internet, we have different terms which are regularly used, like World Wide Web, web pages, web server, hyperlink, URL, domain naming system. We will talk about each of them one by one. First is World Wide Web. What is World Wide Web? As we discussed, what is internet? Internet is the network of networks. It talks about the physical infrastructure available all over the world. It contains the networking devices, computers, cables, wireless and wired connections. World Wide Web is the set of web pages, or the information, we can say, the part of software which is available across the internet, which can be accessed through the internet, and it is available to be accessed to the internet to all of the users. So World Wide Web, or simply the web, is a collection of electronic documents that are linked together like a spider web, which can be accessed through internet. Next is web server. Any server, in internet, we have a client server architecture where a client request sends a HTTP request to the server, and server according to the request send a response through HTTP response. So web server is a computer. It is also a computer which have stored web pages. It is responsible for accepting requests from users and serve them with the web pages which are being asked by the user. Hyperlink. Hyperlink is the link in the form of text, in the form of image, in the form of any other information which we can use to go to another page. So hyperlinks link to the another place in the same document or to an entirely different document. HTML is hypertext markup language. Hypertext markup language is a language that consists of certain keywords like tags used for writing the documents on the web. There are different types of HTML languages. One is HTML, when we have CSS, then we have Python, PHP, the JavaScript. These all can be used to create hypertext markup programs. These programs can create, after running them, we can have web pages, and that web pages can be displayed on internet on any browser. When we talk about web page, what is web page? A web page is a page which can be opened by a browser. It has set of text, it has set of images, it can have videos, it can have different annotations. A web page is an electronic document written in a computer language called HTML. Web pages can contain text, graphics, video, animation and sound, as well as interactive features such as data entry forms. Data entry forms are where we put some input to the system and accordingly it produces some output, or it saves that entry into its database. Each page has a unique address. Like we have an address of our home of any location, we have some street number, then city name, then state name. Same way we have a locator, an address of every page on the internet. How can we open a page if we don't have its address? So we call it URL, which is Uniform Resource Locator, that identifies its location on the server. We can access any web page only if we have its URL. Web page usually contains hyperlinks to other web pages. So as we can see in any website, from clicking any button, any other link of any other website, we go, the system switches to the another web page which has been hyperlinked. So a collection of these web pages, we call it together as website. For example, we can see the web page of NIOS website. Here we can see we have different images, we have different text, and it can be adjusted graphically according to the user requirements. We have different links. In different tabs we can have different links, and these links can be called as hyperlinks because on clicking them we go to another page. Website. A website is collection of web pages. It is particular to a company, to any organization, to any different specific activity. Like we have different websites for banking, for hospitalization, for hotel booking, etc. And first page of every website is called its home page, and we can click hyperlinks to access other web pages of that website. URL, as we discussed earlier, URL is Uniform Resource Locator. Every page on the web has a unique address called Uniform Resource Locator, URL, and it indicates where the web page is stored on the internet. Every web page stored on internet has an address associated with it, and that is called URL. For example, we have course material link at this, where whenever we link to this web page with this address, with the availability of internet, we can go to the destinated web page of this hyperlink. Next we will talk about IP address. Internet Protocol address, as we have address for every web page. Web page is and we can have address for every system on the internet. When we have to exchange information from one system to another, we should have address of every node, and that address is defined by IP address, which is Internet Protocol address. So IP address is a unique address generally written in the format where we have total we have 3-digit number for we have 3-digit number for each section, and we have 4 sections, and this 3-digit number varies from 0 to 255 as it stores it in the form of 8 bits. For 8 bits we have 256 possibilities, that is 0 to 255. For example, 192.100.8.56. This is one of the IP address. And there are currently 2 versions of Internet Protocol address, IPv4 and IPv6. In IPv4, we have address in the form of 4 sections, where each section can have 8 bits. In total, we have 32 bits. And the number of possible addresses over the internet is 2 raised to the power 32. So these many systems can be available on the internet, and they can be connected, they can be addressed, and IP is a address which is not the physical address, it is assigned by the IP to the system. IPv6 addresses are based on 128 bits, and each section is 16 bits. So we can have 2 raised to the power 16 variations for each section. So IPv6 addresses are expressed in hexadecimal notation. Next is DNS, domain name system. Domain name is a unique name of individual host computer on the internet. Every computer on the internet now have both a domain name and IP address, and DNS domain name system server is used to translate domain names into IP addresses. If we try to understand one of the addresses, like it is a domain name address www.nios.ac.in. www stands for World Wide Web. We will continue it after a short break.
प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने।
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो, धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो,
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
मित्र ज्ञान ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय का है द्वार खुला सबकी खातिर।
शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर।
शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर। दुनिया में इसके